Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. We're so glad that you've joined us. Interested in money? Well, the country's experts on the economy are with us today to talk improving finances and creating wealth stability. It's another half hour of informative features just for you. I'm Adrian Atkinson and the magazine unfolds right now.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, December 10. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is urging African investors to consider financing infrastructure and energy projects in Jamaica. According to Mr. Holness, Jamaica's business environment is ripe for investments. Among other things, he attributes this to the island's number 6 world ranking for starting a business and the Jamaica Stock Exchange being the best performing index 3 years in a row.
There's a great opportunity for investors here in Kenya and in the wider African continent to look to Jamaica for investment opportunities. And we welcome you. Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean, Barbados, we have very stable democracies with very stable economic policies, particular fiscal policies. So this is a good environment for investors to consider to place resources.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was speaking at Monday's presidential dialogue during the African, Caribbean and Pacific ACP Business Summit. It was held ahead of the December 9 and 10 conference in Nairobi, Kenya. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta now chairs the ACP group of countries. Mr. Holness is there as part of his 5-day working visit to finalize the post-Cotonou Agreement negotiations. The Prime Minister will also review the group's constitutive act, the Georgetown Agreement. Mr. Holness has used his visit to meet with the Jamaican diaspora, the Jamaican head of mission in the African country, as well as Kenyan government officials. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton is encouraging researchers to utilize the $50 million research fund to find solutions for challenges in public health. He was speaking at the launch of the Research for Wellness Fund last Thursday, which is being financed by the National Health Fund, the NHF.
And we've taken a decision, the team, of course, in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, that we needed to proceed on this course in a structured way, engaging stakeholders from wherever, as long as they possess the credentials to do sound research, but applied research to help us to solve the challenges that we have.
The Health Minister says $50 million will be added to the fund annually. Grants will be provided for research in priority areas such as wellness in the workplace, schools and communities, as well as among persons with non-communicable diseases and risk factors for tobacco use and physical inactivity. The Stony Hill Health Center is now able to deliver improved services following recent renovation and expansion works. The Type 3 facility, which provides medical care to at least 200 patients per day, now has an expanded records system, dental unit, pharmacy and upgraded sewer system. It also boasts new consultation rooms, nebulization and rehydration areas, as well as waiting and sub-waiting areas. The work was done at a cost of $80 million, financed by the National Health Fund. At the reopening ceremony on Friday, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said it demonstrated the progress and renewal that was taking place in the public health system.
And we have approached it in a way that recognizes the challenges that we face, develop or put in place a development plan for the next 10 years. But we have the plan, but we do more on that. We have allocated resources to support the upgrade, to catch up with the gaps that existed in our healthcare infrastructure. And this is not a promise, it is a commitment.
Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark is lauding the Inter-American Development Bank IDB for its assistance towards Jamaica's development over the last 50 years.
The IDB is working across every nook and cranny of Jamaica, and their support has been critical to where we have reached.
Dr. Clark was speaking recently at the launch of the IDB's 50th anniversary. He pointed out that the bank's contributions spanned investment and budget support loans, grants and technical assistance. Its assistance has facilitated the establishment of the Financial Services Commission, the National Solid Waste Management Authority, Office of Utilities Regulation, Rural Agricultural Development Authority, and the Regional Health Authorities.
The future holds a lot of potential for this country. The IDB and all of the international partners are really here, Minister Clark, because we care about this country. We know there are opportunities. We have resources, we have knowledge, we have expertise.
The IDB is the single largest lender to Jamaica, amounting to approximately $5.2 billion since 1969. The child diversion bill is scheduled to come into operation on January 1 next year. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck says he recently signed off on the gazetting of the legislation, and government is anticipating a smooth rollout of the National Child Diversion Program. Speaking at a child diversion sensitization session on Friday, he said the ministry would be hosting training workshops for state agencies and NGOs and promoting campaigns to sensitize more people about the subject. Child diversion is the process of implementing measures dealing with children who are alleged, accused, or recognized to have infringed the law without resorting to formal judicial proceedings. The national program aims to reduce the number of children who are charged with offenses and then exposed to the formal criminal justice system. It is also intended to increase the use of diversionary programs that rehabilitate children as a response to crime. And finally, Jamaica is once again serving on the Council of the International Maritime Organization, IMO, after its re-election. Jamaica, which returns for a second straight term, will serve along with the Bahamas as the two Caribbean countries on the IMO Council from 2020 to 2021. Minister of Transport and Mining Robert Montego says this shows the level of respect given to Jamaica as a maritime state. The IMO Council is the governing body that approves and makes policy recommendations, including the International Maritime Organization's strategic plan. It also approves the work of the committees, proposes the budget, and appoints the Secretary General for the Assembly. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching.
Mosquitoes can spread diseases such as dengue fever. Common symptoms of dengue include fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, muscle pain, joint pain, skin rash, nausea, and vomiting. If you feel you have dengue fever, visit your doctor or health center, rest, drink lots of fluids, use only paracetamol for pain. Do not take aspirin or other painkillers. Protect yourself from dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Next, the latest happenings out of the office of the Prime Minister.
Two detached units delivered to Westmoreland residents. Closed Harbour Beach Park 27% completed, and seniors get Christmas treat. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Andrew James Sawyers.
We have not yet had an African country taking a specific interest in very profitable infrastructure investments in Jamaica. And I'm using this opportunity to invite African investors to come and participate in the development of the country.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as he addressed a presidential dialogue at the African, Caribbean and Pacific ACP Business Summit. Mr. Holness told the gathering that there were a myriad of investment opportunities on the island, particularly in infrastructure and energy. He said Jamaica also had untapped potential in business, finance, and technology.
We have very stable democracies with very stable economic policies, particular fiscal policies. So this is a good environment for investors to consider to place resources.
Monday's business conference comes ahead of the December 9 and 10 summit of the heads of state and government of the ACP Group of States. The 9th session of the summit is being held in Nairobi, Kenya, under the theme, A Transformed ACP Committed to Multilateralism. Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta is chair of the ACP. Mr. Holness is on a 5-day working visit to the African country, where he's expected to participate in finalizing the post-Cotonou negotiations. The body will also receive its constitutive act, the Georgetown Agreement. Prime Minister Holness arrived in Kenya on Saturday and has already met with the Jamaican diaspora, the Jamaican head of mission, Kenyan diplomats, and the business community. Before his departure for the African continent, the Prime Minister toured work being undertaken at the closed Harbour Beach Park in Montego Bay, St. James. The $1.296 billion project is 27% complete and is on track to be finalized by November 2020. Work on the 16-acre property is being managed by the Urban Development Corporation through funding from the Tourism Enhancement Fund. During Wednesday's tour, the Prime Minister said the beach park was part of a greater project to increase public spaces in St. James. Those plans include developing the Catherine Hall Entertainment Complex into a space for a reggae museum, a boardwalk, and a public park.
Which will really create a space that can pull the public from the congestion of the inner city of the town to have more relaxing space where people can contemplate, can relieve their stress, can interact with each other outside of a harsh environment. At the end of 2018-2019 financial year, the NHD accounted for more than 14,000 housing starts for the period 2016 to 2019, thereby increasing the inventory by 152%. Completions of the starts total 6,000 solutions over the same period.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave that update last Wednesday as he handed over 52 housing solutions to Westmoreland residents. 32 detached units were delivered at Darlaston, while 23 were completed at Shrewsbury. They are the first to be delivered under the NHT's Labour and Small Materials Program. Under this program, the agency provides project management, on-site supervision, and the major building materials to small local contractors who provide the labor and small materials for the project. The units are part of the NHT's 4-year housing program, which will deliver 6 housing developments with 1,493 solutions in Westmoreland. Back in Kingston Thursday, Mr. Holness hosted his annual Senior Citizens Retreat on the lawns of the Office of the Prime Minister. While expressing his genuine love and care for the nation's seniors, Mr. Holness said the treat provided an opportunity to hear their concerns and challenges.
The fellowship and the meal amongst yourself is very important. But it is important that I get to see you because there are many issues that affect the seniors in our country. That sometimes I am locked away in my office or I'm dealing with other issues or there are so many issues to deal with that this special group of Jamaicans don't always have an opportunity to speak with their Prime Minister.
And on Friday, the Prime Minister announced that Carib Cement had removed 6,000 tires from the Riverton City disposal site in 11 days. The removal forms part of a memorandum of understanding signed in July between the government and the company. Under the agreement, the cement company will remove and dispose of 2 million tires from the disposal site. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.
Garbage collection, maintenance of public sanitary conveniences, upkeep of cemeteries, provision of water shops, road improvement, street lights, poor relief programs, community beautification. All these services are funded by you. Yes, they are, when you pay your property tax. Pay your annual property tax to make Jamaica the place of choice for all.
Jamaica's economy is on the right path. The country just exited the standby loan agreement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Plus, unemployment is at an all-time low. Moving from stability to growth is now the focus. Next, improving the country's wealth to the benefit of the people.
My name is Carol Samuda, and today we'll be talking about the economy. Today we have three great guests with us who will be sharing their thoughts on Jamaica's economy and how it impacts us as everyday Jamaicans. To my immediate left, I have Dr. Wayne Robertson, who is Deputy Governor at the Bank of Jamaica. To his left, we have Mr. Richard Pandui, who is President of Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association. And to his left, we have Mr. Keenan Faulkner, who is Researcher and Economic Officer for the Economic Growth Council of Jamaica. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So Jamaica's economy, it really has been characterized as one that is in transition. We recently ended our precautionary standby arrangement with the IMF, and it's a conclusion to about a 6.5-year engagement with the fund under different programs. Our macroeconomic variables are moving in the right direction, right? We have inflation that has been characteristically low for an extended period of time. Unemployment rate is at an all-time low ever. Our net international reserves, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that from Dr. Robinson, is also at an all-time high, about $3.2 billion in October. Our non-borrowed reserves have also increased. Our debt to GDP, I think that's sort of the star of the show. It has fallen from about 145% to 95%, I think, as of March this year. We have competitive market interest rates, and then 19 consecutive quarters of positive economic growth. So, Dr. Robinson, it'd be good to hear, particularly the central bank's monetary policy stance. I know we have now adopted this inflation targeting policy stance, and what is that? How do I interpret that policy stance? What does it mean for me as a Jamaican and all our other Jamaicans who are joining us?
All right, thanks for that question, Carol, and thanks for having me. Well, the government has decided that the focus of the central bank should really be on inflation, managing inflation. In that regard, the whole objective of its monetary policy, and when I talk about monetary policy, I'm talking about really actions that we take to influence interest rates. So whenever we're changing interest rates, whenever we take a decision on interest rates, the sole focus is to ensure that inflation, that is the rate at which prices move in the economy, remains or gets to a particular level as set by the government. So we are not so much focused on, really what the level of the exchange rate is, for example. What we focus on is what matters to the consumer at the end of the day. That is the prices by which they pay in the supermarkets or what they pay at their doctors. And what's important about this strategy is that it is unambiguous exactly what the central bank ought to do. And importantly, the central bank will be held accountable to getting inflation to where it ought to be.
Mr. Pandui, from your perspective as the JMEA president, sort of how is that group or the group that's represented by manufacturers and exporters, how are they responding and reacting to these changes in the economy? And then also to briefly talk about and respond to the central bank's focus on inflation targeting, and what does that mean for your group?
Thank you, Carol. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for.
First of all the stuff you mentioned about the economy, very positive. And these results are really based on the Jamaican people making tremendous sacrifices over the last few years. Sometimes we separate government from the people, but it's a people sacrifice.
Agreed.
And the good thing about it, it's happened across different administrations. So it reflects maturity and maturing of Jamaica politics, that we can actually keep a consistent policy for the betterment of the country. So the way I see it is really about improving people's lives, really about inflation target or whatever, about how do we improve the lives of Jamaicans, how do we make it better for us and for the next generation. From the point of view of manufacturers and exporters, we believe about an important part to play in this transformation, because we're the ones that are going to have to help to bring value, innovation, drive export, improve our earning, do import substitution, and create quality jobs for Jamaicans. So from where we sit, we understand and we support the policies.
Let's welcome Keenan Faulkner, who is a Research and Economic Officer at the Economic Growth Council. I know that the EGC, you have sort of identified some structural challenges within the Jamaican economy that if we are able to address and effectively address, that will further unlock sort of our growth in our economy. And I know that EGC recently had held its report to the nation. Could you tell us, one or two of those structural challenges that you think would be really, really a game changer with respect to our growth trajectory?
All right. Thank you, Carol, and thank you for having me. So recently in the EGC's 9th report to the nation, we identified several structural impediments, and for decades we've spoken about structural impediments to growth. And so what that means is the fundamental overarching organization of the Jamaican economy has prevented us from realizing the growth that we really need to achieve. One of them is the bureaucracy of public sector operations. So we focus mostly on trying to get public sector transformation going, and a second one I can point to would be crime. So we had mentioned that if Jamaica can get its crime levels down to about the level of Costa Rica, which is 12 per 100,000, or a fifth of what Jamaica's is at 60 per 100,000, then our GDP can increase by about 3 to 5% per year. And when we speak of public sector transformation, we really want there to be significant change management all throughout the public sector. There have been rationalizations of different public bodies year on year as part of the IMF agreement, which was recently concluded, and we're grateful for the steps that are being taken. In addition to having mergers, divestments, other bodies being subsumed into their parent ministries, we think that significant change management throughout, meaning the culture of how we do things in the public sector, would need to be changed very radically.
Now we have a question for Dr. Robinson. So why is the dollar so out of control?
We have a market-determined exchange rate. Yeah. That means that the exchange rate is going to move depending on how demand and supply is evolving in the economy. And what we've seen certainly since last year is that the exchange rate moves in two directions. It will go up and it will go down, depending on how the supply and how the demand is in the economy. So what I would say, when you see the exchange rate depreciating, it's not a sign that there's a crisis. There's no need to panic. The economy generates broadly sufficient foreign exchange to meet its demand. But from time to time, this demand is lumpy. It comes in pockets. Also, supply is also lumpy, and it comes in pockets as well. And so you'll find that the exchange rate will fluctuate from time to time. This is normal in any market. When you look at foreign exchange markets all over the world that have this type of flexible exchange rate system, this is what happens. So it's not unusual. The other thing is that the central bank has sufficient reserves to ensure that the market remains orderly, to ensure that persons can get supply of foreign exchange when they need it and at a fair price.
I also understand that the Central Bank of Jamaica will be launching a trading platform.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that and so what is the expected impact of that trading platform with respect to our foreign market?
Sure. Our objective, given that we will be operating a market-determined exchange rate, our objective is to ensure that the market deepens, that the market develops. And one of the key to driving market development is transparency. In other words, persons must have a fair idea of what is happening in the market, what is happening to the exchange rate, what is available, where and by whom. And so we will be launching a foreign exchange trading platform. We'll begin to roll that out early next year. And it will give dealers, your banks and your cambios, a better understanding, more information in more real time as to the state of demand and supply in the market. So dealers will be able to post on this trading platform exactly what they plan to buy at or what they will sell at. And persons can see, other dealers can see, other cambios can see. Also large corporates like Richard's company, they'll be able to look and see what is happening in the market. And with this information, it will enable persons to better plan, to know where to go, to shop around better.
So we are close to the end of our program, but I'd like to give you a couple of minutes or seconds just to conclude again about our economy and how are we to reinforce these policies, these programs that are taking place, and what needs to happen in the next phase.
I'll first underscore the comments that you started out with. The Jamaican economy is in a much better place, much better shape than it was 5-10 years ago. You're looking at a much stronger economy. You're looking at an economy that is far more stable than what we used to experience in the past. We're not yet out of the woods. The debt to GDP ratio, that's high, but it's coming down coming down faster than program. So where we ought to start to focus our attention now is in this new economic environment, what are the opportunities? How do I capitalize on those opportunities? And key to that is raising our own productivity.
So for me going forward, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's service, whatever it is, I want us to focus on our people more.
Great, thank you. And Keenan?
Right. Just want to shift the conversation from fiscal consolidation to economic growth. And when you're talking about economic growth, the idea is always value added. Yes. How can we do things like agro-processing, covered agriculture, storage, and that will ultimately help the economy to grow, to use one sector as an example.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me. Thanks to our social media users. This is OPM Connect. Thank you.
Respect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motorists, when driving on the road, here are some simple reminders. Look out for and extend courtesy to all road users. Give plenty of room to pedestrians, especially in wet weather. Drive slowly. No bother wet them up. Slow down when approaching a pedestrian crossing or school, and always be prepared to stop. Remember, a school zone is a 30-kilometer zone. Cut your speed. Drivers of large and slow-moving vehicles should always keep in the far left hand of a dual carriageway. Keep it simple. Drive left and pass right. These are just simple reminders of your road duties. Drive safely.
Just be true to who you are, who you are, who you are. Just be true to who you are, yeah. Just be true to who you are.
We've come to the end of the show, but only for today. Do catch us again tomorrow on this station. Here's a reminder to send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. You may also connect with us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.